Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express, the important news and editorial that will be relevant for the civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 25th of February. The first important news, that is COP-28 must focus on adaptation instead of mitigation. This is what India's stand is. Second, from the explained page of the Indian Express, that is sedition 153A, its use and misuse. We have seen a recent controversy arising from the Congress spokesperson where he was detained at the flight and he was deboarded and arrested by the Assam police. We'll see the detail about that. The third is Great Backyard Bird Count 2023. The second last, Indian submarine INS Sindhu Kesari dock in Indonesia. That will definitely have a lot more impact in India-Indonesia relations as well as concerning the point of South China Sea. The last is an editorial. Cyber attacks are risking, but there is an ideal path patch, right? Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin the session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. And the much awaited prelims marathon 2023 is here. The All India Open Mock Test that will be starting from 5th of March 2023. This is an marathon series which will give you a stimulated environment as per the UPSC level, where both General Studies Paper 1 and Paper 2 will be included. All the aspirants who will be registering themselves, we have an exciting offer for top 3 candidates. There will be benefit in test series and IAS Gazetted magazine. The cash prize up to 50,000 rupees on final selection will be there. So those of you who are looking forward for the prelims 2023, do register yourself to check before UPSC checks you in the real examination, right? For more details, you can reach out to the description section of this video and you can register to avail the benefits out there. Now, moving ahead with today's discussion part of the news, that is COP-28 must focus on adaptation instead of mitigation. Something important for General Studies Paper 3 under the subtopic of General Studies, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation, and EIA. So recently, while addressing a session on long-term strategy for adaptations and adaptation readiness in India, the COP27 meeting, which was recently concluded, the Secretary of Environment has said that India is looking forward on the adaptation part, and adaptation is something that is must for the developmental part, for the sustainability of environment. So India has made it stand clear that adaptation should be taken care of, right? The secretary noted that the forthcoming United Nations conference, that is COP-28, must focus on adaptation instead of mitigation. So some basic definition about adaptation and mitigation is essential here. I'll just give you a brief what exactly is the adaptation and what is mitigation in the context of environment. Now, before I proceed with the details part, just to give you a brief idea about the UN COP28, which is going to be there in Dubai 2023. This is a place, the venue, United Arab Emirates. The 28th session of the UN COP28 will be conveyed from 30th November to 12th of December 2023. It will take place in UAE. The United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change was signed way back in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Sustainability or Development, also known as Earth Summit, Rio Summit या फिर Rio Conference भी कहते हैं. These are some of the basic things that you must know. Now coming to the part and the concept of mitigation and adaptations. What is mitigation precisely and adaptations? तो ये जो दोनों concepts हैं, these are the heard for international climate discourse. Now how we define mitigation? Mitigation का मतलब होता है that making an impact of climate less severe by preventing and reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases. So the best possible endeavors should be made that the emissions of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere should be reduced, right? And mitigation is achieved either by reducing the resources of their gases or by establishing a cleaner mobility system. Although अगर बात करें फ्यूल की या फिर फ्यूल पोल्यूशन की, हाइड्रोजन इज एन अदर अल्टरनेटिव which each and every country is looking forward with. Even India has a policy in the hydrogen, like there's a hydrogen fuel policy which government of India has recently come up. The policy name is National Hydrogen Policies. Now adaptation part which India has focuses upon, so adaptations refer to assist the countries that most vulnerable to affect the climate change, जहाँ पे coastal states और फिर island nations है, with financial and infrastructural assistance. So this is more kind of a sustainable infrastructure development that will take place for the most vulnerable and affected areas, right? And India has made firm commitment to green growth. Even in the budget session, I had a discussion yesterday that the Saptarishi part of the discussion and even the priorities for India as a Panchamrit. So green growth is very important and mindful utilizations of the resources. Now, what is like mitigation and adaptation on the part of building climate resilience? So mitigations की अगर बात करें, यहाँ पे actions ली जाती है to reduce the emissions that cause the climate change, right? So sustainable transport can be the way for mitigations. Clean energy is another way, and energy efficiency is another way. Now, in terms of adaptations, we have to look into the part where actions to manage the risk of climate impact should be reduced, right? So disaster management, business continuity, flood protections, the flood protection part need to be taken care, and infrastructure upgrade is there. And if we just amalgate both things, that is the mitigation and adaptations, we need to also look upon the water conservations, local food, new energy system, educations, complete communities, and urban forest, right? So these are the things where mitigation and adaptation can simultaneously go hand on hand. And this is very important to build a climate resilience infrastructures. Now, loss and damage fund is again something which is inevitable in the discussion part. तो लॉस एंड डैमेज फंड की अगर बात करें, 27th यूएन कॉन्फ्रेंस में एक सबसे हिस्टोरिक डील जो हुई है वो लॉस और डैमेज फंड को लेकर के हुई है. एंड अंडर दिस फंड the countries responsible for high carbon emissions will compensate the vulnerable countries suffering from the climate impact, right? India has been long advocating for the loss and damage fund, चाहे वो इंटरनेशनल फोरम हो, कई ऐसे मल्टीलैटरल फोरम्स पे इंडिया ने एडवोकेट किया था that the developed country should compensate, उन्हें compensate करने की जरूरत है. The country like United States, they have a lot more emissions contributions compared to other countries. Now, this is, however, no agreement who will fund it, despite the estimate that there should be a minimum worth of 500 billion. तो कोई एग्रीमेंट यूनानिमसली अमाउंट पे नहीं हुई है, बट एक कॉर्पस बताई गई है कि इस कॉर्पस की फंड बनने की जरूरत है, ताकि जो ऐसे कंट्रीज है जिनको काफी ज्यादा जो वनरेबल है, जिनको इम्पैक्ट हुई है, दे शुड बी गेटिंग असिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज. Now, moving to the other news, section 153A, its use and misuse, something important for General Studies paper 2, under the subtopic that is functions and responsibility of union and states and issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure. So recently, the Supreme Court granted interim relief to the Congress spokesperson who was arrested by Assam police from Delhi airport over its comment about the Prime Minister of India. So this news is definitely a political news. You as an aspirant of civil services just need to understand the nuances of this particular news, right? We are not concerned about the political tussle ongoing. We're more concerned about the part of the polity and the constitutional provisions which is there, even that can be used as a case studies. Now, the Congress spokesperson booked under the IPC section including 153A, 505 and 295A. Now, invocation of this law is often criticized for restricting the speech and misuse of legal processes for the political processes. Now, what is section 153A of the IPC? अगर इंडियन पिनल कोड की बात करें, IPC में स्पेसिफिकली 153 में ये बताई गई है, call for penalizing promoting of enmity between the group on the ground of religions, race, place of birth, residence, language, and doing act of prejudicial for maintenance and harmony. So if something is disturbed by any statement given, a case can be filed under 153A of the IPC. And it's a punishable offense where imprisonment up to 3 years there with a fine, well, both. And the provision was enacted way back in 1898. That was not in the original penal. So this is a colonial kind of a section which is still existing in Indian IPC. At the time, the amendment promoting the class of hatred was a part of English law of seditions, but not included in the Indian laws. Now, along with the seditions, that is 153A, sections 505, which penalizes the statement concluding the public mischief, was also introduced. So those sections there, 153A and section 505. Now, in this context, there was a paper which was published by a research scholar, a legal scholar. His name is Siddharth Narayan. He noted that the provisions was introduced to change the existing provision that is dealing with the circulating mischief reports, that is for burden of providing truth to the accused, right? So he has categorically looked into the part of the provisions जहाँ पे जो burden है, जो truth, खास करके अगर अपने आप को prove करना है guilty, that only lies with the accused and not with the system. Now in 1969, the offense was widely amended on the part to have a large scope to prevent the communal tensions. And at the same time, the amendment of the offense was made cognizable. This means that a police officers can arrest him without a warrant. So there are two kind of offense that is there in the Indian criminal justice system. What is a cognizable offense and other is the non-cognizable offenses, right? तो cognizable offense में अगर आप arrest होते हैं तो पुलिस आपको किसी भी time during investigations दोबारा भी arrest कर सकती है, right? So these are the part of the cognizable and non-cognizable offense. I'm not getting deep down into the sections of that. Now, the applications of the law, hate speech की अगर बात करें, that can be invoked under the regimes of all parties to crack down the criticism of the public functionaries to arrest an individual, because of the which the lot of controversy was there in the Delhi airport. And the data from the National Crime Record Bureau shows that the rate of conviction in section 153 is very low. Now, safeguards against the misuse, section 153A, 153B require the prior sanctions from the government to initiate prosecutions, right? So there is a assent, there's a NOC that is required from the government end, right? So the entity or the enforcement agency that whomsoever is doing so, they need to give up permissions. Now, but this required before the trial begins, not during that. And not at the stage of preliminary investigation. तो अगर primary investigations हो रही है during like police's investigation, वहाँ permission की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. But if the case has landed to the trial court, the honorable court will direct the direction of the honorable court with the permissions of government will be necessary. Now, to curb the indiscriminate arrest, the Supreme Court of India has laid down the guidelines in Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar, right? And as per the guideline, the offences that carry the sentence for less than 7 years, the police cannot automatically arrest an accused before the investigations, right? So these were some of the rulings given by the Honorable Supreme Court. And in 2021 ruling, the Supreme Court said that the state will have to prove the intent for securing the conviction under section 153A. So the obligations here lies with the state government also. Now, moving to the other news, Great Backyard Bird Count 2023, something important for General Studies Paper 3 under the subtopic that is Conservation, Environmental Pollutions, Degradation and EIA. So recently, the Great Backyard Bird Count, that is for February, from 17 to February 20, it was there, which was organized. And the event was organized across 35 state and union territories. So this is a Great Backyard Count from 17th February to 2023. Now, finding की अगर बात करें, the Great Backyard Bird Count, also known as GBBC, is noted that among the state, West Bengal have reported the highest number of species of birds, followed by Uttarakhand and Arunachal Pradesh. And West Bengal have reported 689 species of the bird that was there. Uttarakhand has reported 426, Arunachal Pradesh 407, Assam 397 and Karnataka 371. So number is not important. आपको सिर्फ जो क्रोनोलॉजी है स्टेट्स की वो ध्यान रखनी, बिकॉज इफ इट इज आस्क्ड इन प्रीलिम्स एग्जामिनेशन, यूपीएससी विल नेवर आस्क यू द नंबर्स, दे विल गो बाय द ट्रेंड, राइट? सो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द ट्रेंड. Tamil Nadu and Kerala took 8th and 9th positions with 349 and 325 respectively. और अगर केरला की बात करें, they have recorded the highest number of the checklist of the bird, right? And Maharashtra with 7414, Tamil Nadu with 6098, that is placed second and third. Now, what is bird count in India? Basically, अगर bird count in India की बात करें, एक organization है जो काम कर रही है. The bird count in India is a formal partnership with organizations that are working together for increasing the knowledge about the bird distributions and their population living in which particular vegetation, how they actually functions, what is their habitat. These all things are taken into considerations, and the knowledge base is also shared. The preliminary report released by the BCI said that more than 46,000 checklists and a total of 1067 avian species were uploaded in eBird app. This is an app where an online platform is there and an individual can register himself or herself and get the details uploaded in the particular app. Now, about green backyard bird count, this is at the global level. This is a global event which entails for the backyard for the bird count, and the beginning coordinated in India by eBird India and the bird count. The GBBC was launched in 1990. The bird count of India organizes the GBBC in the country, and India was among the 190 country to participate in the Great Backyard Bird, with an annual event that brings the bird enthusiasm, students and even the nature enthusiasts come together to see around the places where they live and work and study, right? So this is a kind of a easy way process where the survey has been taken care by the public itself. Now, what is the significance of this kind of events of bird count? So this exercise helped to provide a snapshot of a bird populations that throw light on the system supporting whether the population is depending on the bird distributions pattern that is changing due to human intervention at its impact and even for the habitat. India's submarine INN Sindhu Keshri docked in Indonesia, something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic that is effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest and India's diaspora. Now, in line with expanding the military cooperations with the Southeast Asia nations, India has recently docked its INS Sindhu Ghosh, a diesel-class electric submarine, for the first time in Indonesia from February 2022 to February 24 this particular year. And INS Sindhu Keshri made its way to Indonesia in the capital of Jakarta via a transversing sea route. Basically, you can see the strait, that is the Sunda Strait. I'll give you a map to have a better understanding. Now, this is a part of the Indian diplomatic and military outreach program with the ASEAN countries. Now, something that is important here for the prelims examination is the Sunda Strait. So this is where the strait is there. You can see this is between Indonesia and Indonesia. These are the strait. And our front, there's a strait of Malacca and Lombok Strait, right? So the places in the map become very important. For map work, UPSC tend to ask a question directly. So you can have accordingly a check on this. And this is the part of the South China Sea. Now, India's concern of the South China Sea, definitely India is concerned about the South China Sea and the dominance of China, which is there in the region. So in the recent year, India has increased the defense cooperation with the ASEAN members, keeping the China's growing aggressions in the Indian Ocean region and the Himalayas. And India has been steadily expanding its defense and security cooperations. Apart from the countries like ASEAN, Quad membership की अगर बात करें जहाँ पे Indo-Pacific पे खासा ध्यान दी गई है. In the recent year, India has signed the logistic support agreement with several countries to enhance the military assets. And India has also conducted the part of patrol twice a year in Indonesia, right? It has noted that Indonesia is one of the several countries in the region that is engaged with a maritime dispute with China, especially in the South China Sea. So Indonesia is also trying to counter China in the South China Sea, where India is providing a back-end support to Indonesia. Now, about INS Sindhu Keshri, this can be again relevant for prelims examination and specifically those of you who are preparing for CAPF examination, right? वहाँ पे इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस कई बार relevant हो जाते हैं. INS Sindhu Keshri is a 3,000 ton conventional diesel electric submarine, and it's a part of Russian-made Sindhu class submarines. And this was first commissioned by Indian Navy in way back in 1988 before it was refitted in 2018. So refit की गई है इसे 2018 में. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, cyber attacks are rising, but there is an ideal patch, something important for General Studies Paper 3 under the subtopic that is technology and development of new technology, and it concerns how to counter it. So what are the important part in this discussion? First, talking about the theme. The theme is about the cyber attack and its threat. Growing vulnerability, guide for reporting the cyber attack incidents, challenges which is there. There's a digital Geneva Convention. We'll see this is specifically important for mains examination. The need for the global corporations and the way forward. Now, in the recent time, number of cyber attack in India has witnessed 3 to 4% of increase. So there's 3 to 4 fold of the increase in the cyber cases that has been reported in the recent time. And according to Government of India data, a total number of cyber security incident that was reported by the CERT. This is a specific agency that is looking care for all the assistance of security in terms of IT. उन्होंने report किया 3,94,499 cases. This is just to give you an idea about the cases that has been recently reported by CERT. Now, the ransom attack, which was recently there in the AIIMS Delhi, I think most of you must be aware, we had a discussion about that. तो AIIMS Delhi में एक ransom attack हुई थी जहाँ पे जो patients की database थी उसे पूरी तरह से cyber attacks करके capture कर लिया गया था. These has raised another concern for the part of the cyber security which is there in India. Now, there's a growing vulnerability, not specifically for India, but global level पे अगर देखें बहुत सारे ऐसे country है जो cyber security को लेकर के concern है, and there's a lot more vulnerability that is going. So, according to a report which was published by the CloudSec India, it says that the United States, Indonesia, and China account for 45% of the total cyber attack, right, on the government agencies, specifically on the government agencies, and this is second of the half of the particular cases that were reported. The number of attack on the government agencies were 95% on year-on-year basis. Ransom have emerged as the most predominant of the malicious cyber attack, right? So cyber attack, malicious, malware, all this concept, the basic concept can again be relevant for the prelims examination. Now, with cyber threat, they're capable of undermining our critical infrastructure, industries, security, and comprehensive cyber security in this regard is essential, right? So definitely not only other countries, but India specifically need to come upon with the cyber security policy. We still do not have such policy, which is die-hardly required for a country like India. Now, the guideline for reporting the cyber incidents, basically अगर CERT की बात करें, this is a nodal agency that is taking care for India's cyber security. तो एक गाइडलाइन सेट की गई थी इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के द्वारा जहां पे ये बताया गया कि ये मैंडेटरी होगी, ये मैंडेटरी ऑब्लिगेशंस होंगी कि हर एक फर्म को या फिर जो गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज हैं उनको साइबर इंसिडेंट को रिपोर्ट करना है, सो दैट दे कैन एक्चुअली कम अप विद द मॉडल इन विच द साइबर अटैक इज टेकिंग प्लेस. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग इंटीग्रिटीज दैट आर इन्वॉल्व, सो दे विल बी टेकिंग केयर. दे आर द बेस्ट इंडिविजुअल दैट विल बी टेकिंग द पार्ट ऑफ द ट्रिवियलिटी दैट इज देयर, डिजाइनिंग अ पॉइंट ऑफ पर्सन, डोमेन एंड नॉलेज टू इंटरेक्ट इन द CRT. The draft Personal Data Protection Bill 2022 that has also been there by the Government of India, it imposed 500 crore of data breach penalty also. So government is coming up with the bills, but there's no full-fledged bill when it's come to cyber security. That recent Digital Personal Protection Bill is something that is aligned to what is essentially required. Recently, Indian Armed Forces ने भी Defense Cyber Agency create की है that is capable for offensive and defensive maneuvers. And all Indian states have their own cyber command and central control system. But as a suggestion, अगर आप मेंस में लिख रहे हैं, आप ये भी कर सकते हैं कि एक centralized agency की भी जरूरत है that will take care. And even the regulation part, laws has to be come up, right? Agencies की अगर बात करें, CERT already existence में है और भी ऐसे response team है जो immediately cyber attacks को report करती है इंडिया में. Now, what are the challenges? The first and foremost challenges is about the organization lack to identify the cyber attack. हमारे पास उतनी infrastructure या फिर man power या फिर उस तरह के skills नहीं है कि identify की जाए कि whether it's a cyber attack or a computer problem or software glitches. Most of the organizations in the private sector and their participation remain limited to India's cybersecurity structure. The country faces an acute scarcity of cyber professionals. This is something that is required. Government should come up with free awareness campaign and also for the policies and the program and impart a free knowledge to the aspirants. India is projected to have a total workforce of around 3 lakh people in the sector, which contrasts to 1.2 million people in the United States. Now, there's a digital Geneva Convention. This is again very important for your mains examination. If you're writing about the cyber security, make sure you incorporate all this point. So the Digital Convention Initiative is an exciting call for defining the new rights, responsibility, and retooling the existing system to cope up with the realities. And it would believe that the digital conventions where 30 global companies have signed a declarations to protect users from the customer cyber breaches. Now, introducing 5G, the arrival of quantum computing, and the potential of malicious software, the avenues of digital cyber breaches is something that is required, right? So, if the things are there and put in place and a proper laws is followed, India definitely need to come up with such alignment which is there in the Digital Geneva Convention. And India's cyber security strategy would do if to look upon the actual triviality, and we need to align ourselves with the international convention that is already operating across the globe. Now, need for the global cooperation, something very important. The most cyber attack originating is beyond India's border. तो उसके लिए जरूरी है कि इंटरनेशनल कोलैबोरेशन हो और उसकी जो बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस है वो शेयर किए जा सके डिजिटल स्पेस सिक्योर करने के लिए. The cyber crimes are expected to cause damage worth estimate of 8 trillion worldwide. This is an estimation about the damage that we can have, even to a larger extent. अगर bitcoins की बात करें, क्रिप्टो करेंसीज की बात करें, ये भी काफी ज्यादा इमर्ज हुई है रिसेंट टाइम में. तो इस तरह की चीजों को रेगुलेट करने के लिए भी साइबर सिक्योरिटी की एक इनहैंस एंड होलिस्टिक पॉलिसी की जरूरत पड़ेगी. India has signed a cybersecurity treaties with countries like United States, Russia, United Kingdom, South Korea, and European Union. Even a multinational framework such as a Quad, I2U2 is again, which India is a member, will be an effort where enhancing the cooperation of the cyber incident and technology collaboration, capacity building, and improvement of cyber resilience will be very important. Now, the way forward, even India's G20 presidency is a summit later this year is ideal for the opportunities to carve out a comprehensive domestic and cyber security framework. इस बार इंडिया G20 की प्रेसिडेंसी कर रही है, which will continue till November 2023, and this will be an opportunity for India to set a standard. Many other important issues are there, but definitely this is something which India also should come up with. And India could make and conceptualize a global framework which could minimize the exceptions of the cyber security, and this would be the most significant contribution from India towards a collective security in the modern time. So India should use this platform as an opportunity where a policy, a collective policy in the cyber security should be there unanimously by the members country of the G20, right? So if you're concluding your answer, suppose you're writing this in mains paper, तो आप पॉजिटिव नोट पे से खत्म करें और जो भी इनिशिएटिव्स लिए गए हैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के या जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं इंडिया के पास उसे जरूर लिखें. So this is how you can conclude your way forward. Now, moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option is A. For second question, the correct option is B. Today's MCQ for practice. The first question is with reference to personality right. Consider the following statement. It refers to right of a person under the right to privacy, and the right to privacy do not have one's liberty represented publicly without permission. So this is, you have to choose the option. There are 4 options. You have to choose the correct one. And the second question is PM Daksh program. It was launched by the Ministry of Home Affairs. It is a national action plan for skilling the marginalized people for SC, OBC and EBCs and the other sanitation workers, including the waste pick workers. So do check it out for the initiatives which is taken by the government of India. This type of initiative, the social initiatives, is important for the prelims examination. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.